Hey guys, Banana Luck here. Welcome back to another Water Realms video. We're back with a cat server video and we have a few new units to take a look at. And in this video, we're taking a look at Clarissa. So Clarissa is an Asoteresis fighter that specializes in anti-healing. And this is her base stats. You can see 4.7k attack. Not the highest, but not the lowest either. Pretty average. 2.6 seconds interval, and then you can see the range. It's a 3x3 tile range, so not the worst, not the best either. You can place her way behind a tank, but yeah, not enough to avoid getting like AOE damage when the tank takes any damage on the front end. Now, let's take a look at his basic kit. Basic attack has a 25% chance to launch Dark Age instead. What is Dark Age? Deals 90% damage 2 times up to 10 enemies within the ultimate range, inflicts 2 stacks of poison for 10 seconds. For every 1 stack of poison inflicted on enemies within basic attack range, the chance increases by 1% up to 50%. So eventually, she's just going to get 75% chance to launch Dark Age all the time. So very strong AoE unit, at least from the way that it looks at the moment. And then first passive, which is, the basic attack, 120% AoE damage up to 8 enemies. And then first passive, each time Dark Age is launched, hero gains 2% penetration for 15 seconds, stacking up to 10 times, which gives her essentially 20% penetration. And I think the uptime is going to be pretty consistent when you reach 75% proc chance of Dark Age. Second passive, when the ultimate's finishing attack successfully kills an enemy, increases the chance of Dark Age by 30% for 10 seconds, which essentially just gives you a 100% chance to do Dark Age. And then ultimate, when activated, reduces attack interval by 30%, increases attack by 30% as well, and then launches a finishing attack 1 time, dealing 600% AoE damage up to 10 enemies in range, inflicting anti-healing. How long is the anti-heal? 5 seconds, and executing targets with HP below 30%. Attack interval reduction and attack increase effect lasts for 15 seconds after the attack. So it's an instant execution, but afterwards you still get the buff. And that 600% is either going to kill people, or it's going to inflict them with anti-heal. Very interesting. And yeah, it's a very simple kit compared to the 2 other Chinese units. And yeah, although it says anti-heal in the kit, it looks like it's pretty much inbuilt in the ultimate. And if let's say we get her paired with Asoteresis faction, you're going to see the 800% drop down to 800 cost drop down to 600, I think. And yeah, the ultimate range is just 1 extra tile in front of what we usually have. Now, Awakenings. A1, during the ultimate, Dark Age inflicts anti-healing on targets, inflict damage by it. So this is very nice. So the anti-heal is going to last for much longer. It's going to last for potentially 20 seconds, assuming that the Dark Age the ultimate lasts for 15, you do 1 last hit, and then that anti-heal lasts for another 5 seconds, for a total of 20. So that's the anti-heal that I was talking about that I felt that wasn't enough. A2 is extra attack. A3, when Maniac Spiral's duration ends, also launches 1 finishing attack. So you're going to get 1 extra finishing attack on top of the original one. A4 is penetration, and then A5, effect duration of penetration gained from cadaverous grain becomes permanent and increases the penetration per stack by 1%. So you're going to get 30% penetration, but I'm honestly not too held up by this because, I don't know, I don't feel like the penetration on its own is not good enough. Like the default skill. But it does give you 10% extra penetration, but I feel like if you're using her for anti-heal, A1 is probably the best one at it in terms of like utility or value. So yeah, that's Clarissa. Does she have any exclusive? No. But yeah, that's it for now. We will now take a closer look at her kit. It is very simplistic, I have to say, because with the rest of the units, we had to read up a lot more on them, but this one, not so much. So let's see. We'll test out in a few areas and see where she's good at. So let's get into that without further ado. Alright, so when it comes to anti-heal, I think there's no better place to test that out than in Gear 124, because I think this was one of the first places where anti-heal became absolutely necessary. In stage 22 and 23, you could still get away without it by just out DPSing whatever that came your way, but 24 is now the benchmark for that, at least. I mean, you still have units that can breeze through this with good enough gear without anti-heal. But let's see how Clarissa holds up here, because when I recently checked out Tankers, which was the last anti-heal unit that we got from Cultist SO faction, he did pretty well here. The anti-heal was almost 100% uptime at some points in time, but Tankers doesn't do any damage. So we're gonna sub in these units instead and see what we can do. Now let's get in. Alright, so first of all, we're gonna put down Nurture on the side here. Switch off the auto ultimate. Then we'll do Clarissa on the side here. So her ultimate has quite a unique casting animation. She takes some time to charge up her big hit before she swings down. So you're gonna see it right here. She charges up, the bar goes yellow, and then she jumps up, and she takes all that time to do the leap before she does the anti-heal. And here you can go ahead to put in the rest of the units. And yeah, we should be getting no heals coming out from here, except for the targets that exceed her maximum hit count. I think it was 8 enemies. We're able to kill off everything in time. Looks like we can. So pretty standard for your anti-healer in terms of how much anti-heal she can do. And this hot, we can just leave things as is. I don't think we need to go ahead to do anything. Thinking if we should pop the ultimate, but this hot is coming in soon, so I think not. And you have Rage almost up again. So here we're gonna pop our ultimate once more. And then pop the rest, as well as get Azrath in. So you have to pop her ultimate a lot earlier than usual because yeah, the anti-heal takes time to hit it. And I think once we get to it, because she's A1, every time she casts the Dark Age spell, she's gonna get the anti-heals off. And you can see here we get enough damage to just wipe everything. I mean, when you pair with all this good Awakening DPS, I do have to admit that it might not be a very good showcase, but the anti-heal is pretty consistent, the uptime. It does come back before every big wave, as you can see here. So now we can pop ultimates once more, see what we do. Should be able to clear this out with ease. There you go. And now we just wait for the very last wave. And here we're gonna have to skip one ultimate, I think. As usual, because in the other comms you will not get the anti-heal back in time as well. But once that is off, we can go ahead to pop the rest of the ultimates. And then we'll do the Clarissa one at the end. And because she can't anti-heal everything here, it's gonna take her some time to cut through all of this. Let's see if the wall survives. That's typically the best test to see how good the anti-heal is. Swap back. And you can see we skip one heal cycle as per what the usual DPS do. Then get the next one back. And yeah, I think most of the hot is almost cleaned out here. Because the anti-heals are sufficient. You can see the anti-heal lasting for a bit more there before it wears off. And here the second anti-heal is going to come back in time again. The downtime is not that bad. Of course, tankers facing the front with Earlist, that's gonna do a lot better, but yeah. I honestly think there could be much worse off options here. You do manage to kill off everything. And yeah, there you go. So I guess she is gonna be one of the options, but given that Tankers was given out as a free epic recently, I honestly see no reason to use her over him unless you wanted some units that, you know, can actually do damage as well. But bear in mind, Tankers' ultimate is almost 100% uptime and he does help to block off the wall as well. So it tanks the hits from the boss, which in my opinion is much more valuable than having a unit that does damage. Because if we look at damage here, not the worst, not the best either, but you can see, yeah, obviously Nurture is going to be doing a lot of damage because of Execute, and then Valara doing Valara things as usual. And then yeah, Azeroth and Verlis, so not the best representation of what damage she can do, but I have done some other testing to see, like in Gear Dungeon 113, whether you can put her behind a tank and kill off the top lane. And the answer to that is unfortunately no, and we'll touch more in the conclusion on why that's not the case. But that's it for Clarissa for now. Now let's take a look at another area which maybe she'll have more potential in, so let's jump into that. Alright, so the other area that I think anti-heal is going to be very helpful in is GvG, because we all know we're all finding some ways to, you know, have a unit to do anti-heal consistently against the very pesky Grotesque Fiends. Now, at this very moment in the GvG meta, I think Dane A3 to A5, as well as Dracula A5 are some of the best anti-healers that we've got. I mean, Dracula is the best option because he alone can actually take down the Grotesque Fiend even after you've fed it properly, because it just does so much damage in, you know, the way that he's currently built. So yeah, we're gonna do a few of these defense test runs, and we're gonna go up against a full Esotericist team. So we're gonna have Cyrus, Earlist, Nurture. Now the positioning is not the best. I know that on the sides here, the archers can actually snipe them off, and over here the destroyers can actually cut her off as well. But I just want to showcase the potential with all three DPS facing the Grotesque Fiend, whether we can actually take them down. There is still RNG with Clarissa, because with her A1, the anti-heal is cast when she does her Dark Age, and that is not always guaranteed. So you can see right over here, A1, during the ultimate, Dark Age inflicts anti-healing. So on top of the hit that she charges up to do, Dark Age also does that. But bear in mind, it's a 25% chance to inflict Dark Age, and it increases depending on how many units are inflicted with poison. So there's no guarantees there. With when Dark Age is casted, how many units in her range are doing that, and yeah, you do have the ultimate, you know, killing a unit giving the increased trigger chance, but there's just so many layers of RNG baked into it that the more test runs I do, the more I realize that it might not be that reliable of a skill kit at the moment. Because if every hit she did the anti-heal, then it's going to be a very different story. But enough of me yapping. Let's go into this, and you can see quick affiliate. We are at 130k, 128, 127k lot BPA5. So let's see what this team can actually do. So we're gonna use the magic form of the counters, and yeah, that's gonna defend quite well against this. And then let's see how they all hold up together. So we're gonna do a full here first. You can hold out for a bit more. And then we'll do the counters. And then yeah, counters is just gonna go in. It's gonna be quite hard for this team to kill counters as usual. I mean, unless you have something like Nestia, it's not gonna be very possible. And we just slow down here for a bit. You can see during this ultimate phase, not every hit is inflicting the anti-heal. You'll see the anti-heal getting inflicted when the red cross comes out. But in this case, yeah, it's not coming out that often. And then there you go. That part is done already. because you only have one unit attacking at the moment, so the Dark Age chance is probably stuck at that, 25% base rate that we saw there. So not very consistent. Now I was a bit late on putting down the Grotesque Fiend, but let's see how this goes. You can see the ultimate is lining up nicely there. Let's see if this Grotesque Fiend can actually survive. Okay, the whole team died. Now it got pushed back, so not sure if we can get the anti-heal out and whether or not the Grotesque Fiend will even die. It looks like coupled with the knockbacks and everything, it is not as reliable as we expected it to be. And it's gonna go into healing mode soon, but Clarissa's ultimate is also almost up. That is owing to the fact that Erlitz is giving her healing prayer most of the time. See, we get the anti-heals out. Unfortunately, we have 2 KFC stacked up. And this is where you can see the anti-heal working. It cut through the heals from the boss. And then there you go, the Countess is dead. And I could actually put in another one of this. We'll just speed things up here because there's nothing else to deploy, right? And over here, we do actually manage to kill off things. And yeah, over here, the Grotesque Fiend is going to walk through. It's going to be a 2 out of 3 run. But that was where the RNG lined up nicely for us, where Clarissa actually managed to get her ultimate off. Now, let's redo this run. I'll just do an auto run. I'm not sure why this keeps showing up today. And then we'll see whether or not the team can replicate the same thing. Because as I said, there's RNG. If Clarissa just happens not to cast her ultimate at the right point in time, Valara doing pushbacks at a different time, then the anti-heals might not get inflicted in the same manner. And then that's where the run goes south. So that's just something to bear in mind when you're looking at Clarissa as an anti-healing option in GvG. So let's just redo the run and we'll see how it goes. Same thing as earlier, the counters first and then the ultimates go out. Now the counters does go down because of Clarissa, because of the anti-heal, and coupled with Nurture doing the physical damage. You can see that towards the end there, a lot of the damage coming out is actually helping to take her down. Get this bit. They get fat. And then we get the anti-heal off as well. Okay, you can see this time around the anti-heal didn't help to stop that first fiend. Counters is almost dead here. Then get another round of ultimates. Let's see if this stops the second fiend. Okay, we do actually manage to stop most of the heal. And let's see if we can actually kill off the KFCs in time. Because now we have 2 of them together. Yeah, but you can see, as I said, right, that's where the RNG comes in. We're left with the full now, and things are just gonna end off here because there's no other demon soldiers that can do anything. So, completely same run with deployment sequence and everything, but you can see the outcome is very different here. This is one of the instances where the anti-heals came in when they needed it, and Clarissa actually proc her Dark Age at the same time to help take down the Grotesque Fiend in time. And in terms of damage wise, you're not going to see much coming out from Clarissa because most of the value that's coming out here is, from her actually doing the anti-heal. And coupled with the fact that she's Esoteris's faction, she does get the reach back in time. And I do think it's nice that you don't really need her awakenings for her to function. The most you need is the A1 for Dark Age to proc anti-heal. Without that A1, it might get a little rough because anti-heal is just going to be tied to the ultimate solely. But if you take a look at the other awakenings, they don't really help to, contribute to that. And yeah, you don't really need that as compared to Dane, where you need A3 and A5 for the ultimate to be consistent in terms of damage. And this team definitely does well with swarms, and the placements could definitely be fixed in a much better manner, because right now I think it's quite suboptimal, but at least you guys get a glimpse of what she can actually do. Now let's wrap up the video. Alright, so that's the video for Clarissa, and one thing that I actually tested her out in as well that I did not show in this video is Gear Dungeon 113. She didn't do well there at all, because I was going off the notion that since we have tankers doing really well there, maybe Clarissa could replicate the same. But even though I had her A1 packed with a good set of gear, beside a tank with 6 block like Blood Dracula, she just simply didn't have sufficient damage to even take down one set of mobs. Now the ones that patrol on the right side, those we can take down easily, but the ones that spawn on the top left, which you need to kill because they are very tanky, they hit like a truck, and you need anti-heal to take care of them if you have a defender giving them lifesteal, she simply couldn't take them down in time. By the time we got the mobs down to about 20% HP, her anti-heal ran out and things just got overwhelmed from there. And that's with her being A1. So if you ask me for a good option there, honestly, it feels like, you know, Ares A1 is going to do way better because you don't even have to worry about a tank at the front. You just put Clarissa with the Ares and then get Laurel to give rage regen, and then you're all set to go. So that's one area that I would use her in. Now in Gear Rate 124, she's definitely going to be a good option. You can go ahead and use her there, but I wouldn't pull for her just to get the anti-heals, because you do have to make sure that you get the A1 for Dark Age to inflict anti-heal. And in Gear Rate 124, this pairs really well because she's going to stack up a lot of poison, increasing the chances of her actually inflicting Dark Age, and the anti-heal is going to become much more reliable. Whereas if you look at areas like, you know, Gear Dungeon 113, I don't think you actually get the proc chance as high. As a result, in Gear Dungeon 1 testing, I could even see that sometimes the anti-heals are just not being done consistently at all. And in GvG, you're seeing there is quite a fair layer of RNG, depending on how many units you send after her. And all that coupled together does make her sort of like a wildcard option. But the good thing is that you only need her at A1 for the anti-heal to work reliably. It's not like Dane where you need A3 to get the extra rage regen to actually sustain the anti-heal. Even at A1, she's going to do just fine. And then her A3 and A5 do increase her damage significantly. And if let's say we talk about A3 over here, the finishing attack at the end also does anti-heal, so it does help out in terms of damage output, and it does do execute as well. But I would say A1 is the bare minimum you need. It's not as high of a barrier to entry compared to Dane to be usable in GvG. Now it does come with the caveat that you have to run her with an Esotericist team. You do have to run Earless with her as well. And then you need Nurcha and Valara. Couple all of those units together, she's going to do really well there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. If you have any more questions, leave it down in the comment section below. I'll try my best to answer them. But honestly, Clarissa feels like an okay unit. I wouldn't go out of the way to like go for her. I think people going after her are mainly going to be the GvG players, where they need another anti-heal option. She's going to be really good there, even without rage regen, because she is from Esotericist and this faction is well known for getting their ultimates back in time. But my only caveat with her is that beyond GvG, it seems like she's not going to have a place where she's a must-have. But at this very moment, I also don't see any use for the white stacks of poison that she actually does, because she can do damage to up to 10 enemies and inflict 2 stacks of poison on them. But the problem with this is that we don't have any units that can detonate poison, you know, on multiple units. We have Numenera, but that's only mainly for single target purposes. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section below. I'll try my best to answer them. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like or subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.